being weak. Forgiveness is about pressing forward into the freedom that God has for us. Amen. Like Paul says in Philippians 3:13, it's about forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forward to what's ahead. So forgiveness is about letting go of the past and pressing toward the promise of peace, of healing, of restoration that God offers us. Forgetting what's behind. That means to let go of the hurt. And let me be real for a moment. Forgetting doesn't mean that we just erase the memory of what happened. When Paul says forgetting those things which are behind, he's talking about letting go of the power that the past hurt has over you. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack. Some of the kids in school know them books ain't light. You carrying this heavy backpack. I was at Fireproof yesterday, and Lady Kemp spoke for the first time in 8 years. She's been having her conference for 8 years, and this is the first time she spoke. And when she spoke, she came on the stage with different sizes of suitcases. And those suitcases were labeled. And on those labels, it said bitterness. It said anger. It said depression. It said resentment. It said unforgiveness. And you can go on with the list. And my question to you is, what's in your backpack? What is it that has you weighted down? Every offense, every hurtful word, every betrayal is like another heavy stone that's inside your backpack. And the more you carry it, the heavier it gets. And eventually you're going to find yourself slowing down, weighted down by bitterness, by anger, and by pain. That's why Paul says you got to let it go. You can't run towards what God has for you if you're carrying the weight of unforgiveness. One time, or I should say a few times, I was holding a grudge against a friend who had wronged me. And for weeks, y'all, I held on to that anger. I was replaying that situation over. Oh, y'all know what I'm talking about. I see some heads going just like this. I was replaying that situation over and over in my mind. But all that was doing was robbing me of my peace. My mind wasn't free. I was chained to the past. And actually, I was chained to that person. One day I had to ask myself, what am I gaining by holding on to unforgiveness? I was losing my joy, my peace, my freedom. And that's when I decided, you know what? I got to forgive. And let me tell you, when I forgave, it felt like I dropped that heavy backpack that I had been carrying. How many of you know what I'm talking about? See, some people still holding on to it because they saying, Lady Edwards, you don't know what he did to me. You don't know what she said about me. It doesn't matter what they said or what they did. If you want your Father in heaven to forgive you, you got to forgive. Reaching forward. That's the act of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not passive. It's an act of reaching forward. Just like Paul said, it's about stretching towards something greater. But it's not easy, especially when you've been hurt for so long. It's not easy, but it's doable. When someone wrongs you, it feels natural to pull back. And like me and one of my sisters this morning were talking, we put ourselves in a box. And you can't come in this way. You can't come this way. You got to come this way. And when you come in this way, I'm looking at you. And some of you don't want to face me, so we ain't got to worry, right? But God don't want us to put up a box. He wants us to be open. He wants us to be open for forgiveness and to forgive. Amen? But that's the natural feeling, to pull back, to protect ourselves, to hold on to anger because that's our shield. But forgiveness is asking you to stretch out, to trust God, and believe that He will make things right.